That was chilly. Dude, I'm so glad to be back on the boat with you. I'm still waking up, but we're out here on one of our favorite little places, and me and Jeff are gonna I'm just gonna quit talking. Let's catch a bass. There we go. Nice one on the LV 500. It's winter time here in the desert, and me and Jeff are out here fishing LV 500 by Lucky Craft on the bottom. So fishing it like a jig, dragging it real slow. You know, some of these little sand drops and depressions that have grass on them. Let's get this guy back. But you know, an LV 500 has been a staple in the West Coast, you know, ever since I was a little kid. You know, Clear Lake and some of these, you know, legendary fisheries, fishing this bait, catching big bags on it. And once the water temperature drops and these fish kind of get honed in and in these little ditches and stuff, it's a good bait to cover water and get them to react. Also, you can get some of the most electric bites when it's cold and tough out. Let's have a good day with it. Matt Lee recognized you and said to trust you, and you're a really good guy.
That's a big one.
Fighting so hard in this current, Jeff. There we go. All right, another one on the LV 500 in that ghost minnow color. We're just, you know, bottom hopping it real slow. These fish are, you know, sitting in these current seams. There's a little bit of grass, a little bit of sand, and we're just kind of hopping that thing along, just dragging it like a jig. And you know, once you kind of feel the bottom, you know, like the difference in the bottom, you can kind of pop it through. And I just popped it through, and that one grabbed it. Sweet. You know, kind of let the fish tell you what to do. You know, in this scenario, we're fishing a little bit of current, but we're gonna fish some grass and some more still water a little bit later. But I'm just dragging it, you know, on the bottom like this, keeping contact with the bait. This bait's 3/4 of an ounce, so it'll get down there and keep the nose down. So if I can keep a tight line, I can get this bait just sifting through the bottom like this. And you know, if I feel grass, I can kind of just hop it around and just, you know, mix up my retrieves depending on, you know, what the structure is. Sometimes they want it just crawled on the bottom, added a couple snaps, and then you'll get your bites that way when you break it free. Or sometimes just barely getting that thing like clicking side to side with that nose up and just real slow, kind of like dragging a jig. You know, doesn't mean you can't wind this bait, so it just gives you the ability to do a lot of different things with it and kind of let the fish tell you what to do. Right now we're just dragging it and just keeping that nose down and hopping it through, you know, the sand and the silt and some of this rock and stuff we got, and biting it. There we go. Another one on the LV5. Skinny one, Jeff.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. You wanted that LV though. Right.
Oh my goodness.
So sick. All right, there we go. Come here. She's hot, Jeff. Nice. That's how you want them to eat it. Here we go. Nice one on the LV500. We're just on this little grass edge. There's just holes in the grass and we're snapping it out of there, and this one got it.
The other one did.
So sick. Yeah, so fishing a couple different depths, you know, each spot's a little bit different. Some's like, you know, 5 to maybe 8 feet, just fishing little depressions and stuff, you know, little contour changes. There might be some rock. And then, you know, with the largemouth, looking for more grass, holes in the grass, that kind of stuff, all the way out to maybe like 15 to 20 feet. But the grass comes up high, and just trying to fish the sides and, you know, the little holes in the middle. All right. So as you guys can see here, we have just a solid grass line. So I'm just trying to keep that bait above the grass and just kind of work it, you know, kind of ticking the tops of the stalks of this grass, and then we'll find little holes. So there'll be small holes and indentions within these grass lines. And it doesn't have to be very big, it just indicates that it has hard bottom. So there'll be a little hole like this, and once I find that, I kind of like to stay in that area and just work my bait through it. I'm just using a live scope to kind of find the spot, not necessarily fishing on it, just fishing around it. But once I find a little hard spot like that within the grass, I just kind of stay still and make a bunch of casts around that general zone. Oh, nice green one on the LV5. We switched to, you know, fishing in some of these bays in the middle. There's some good grass, and there's a nice little largemouth. Sweet. Later. All right, guys, we just wrapped up a session fishing the LV500. It's wintertime here in the desert, and one of my favorite ways to catch them is a rattle trap, you know, hopping it off the bottom. One of the most efficient baits, and been a staple of the West Coast and just bass fishing in general. That is the Lucky Craft LV500. So why do I choose an LV500 or a rattle trap instead of, you know, a jerk bait or something like that this time of year? We're fishing above, you know, grass or little transitions, and if the fish are suspended or just kind of sitting in the grass, a jerk bait works really well to kind of, you know, call them up and get them, you know, chasing. But if they're not in a chasing mood, like we kind of found today, these fish are lethargic, I like to kind of get in their house, you know, these little hard spots in between the grass. I'll pull that LV, you know, through the grass and then kind of let it fall, and I'll work it like a jig and just kind of click it on the bottom, and it gets those fish that aren't really, you know, aggressive to react to a reaction bait, and it can be a lot of fun. You can have some of the best days in the water, you know, on a rattle trap in the winter time. And, you know, an LV comes through all different types of cover really well. So it's 3/4 of an ounce. So it's heavy, it falls down fast, and it will nose down. So I can pull it through and this bait will stay nose down. I can, you know, grind it through the rock, grind it through the grass, and it actually stays pretty weedless. I know, you know, you see a rattle trap with 2 big hooks on it, you don't think it is weedless, but you can actually get it through a lot of that cover efficiently. All right, guys, for gear, Megabass P5 Javelin. You know, this rod is quickly becoming a staple, you know, for me for cranking and now rattle trap. So 7'5", super parabolic, but has enough bend, you know, enough backbone in that rod where I can snap it out of the grass. And if one grabs it on a long cast, I got enough backbone to let that rod load, and you know, enough horsepower to haul them out of that stuff. So super efficient rod. I'm really, you know, gaining a lot of confidence in this stick. Reel, just Daiwa Steez USA in a 7.3-1, and then this is 16-pound Sunline Sniper. You know, I will use 20 depending on the scenario, but 16 was enough for today. And pretty simple, LV 500. I do swap my hooks, so we had a couple, you know, this morning just kind of tapping it, like trying to pin it against the bottom, and they weren't getting hooked very well, so I switched to the Ryugi Pierce in a size 4, and you guys will see those hooks are sticky sharp, man, and they get those short strikers. So when it comes to color on the LV 500, I like to start, especially this time of year, with, you know, shad patterns. So Ghost Minnow is a staple color in the Lucky Craft line. So of course, when it comes to the LV, that's where I like to start. But depending on the water clarity, I like to kind of mix it up. Maybe some use. I got a war chest here of colors. So, you know, pre-spawn, I like my reds. Overcast, you know, American shad, some chartreuses, a little bit of everything, just to, you know, keep my options depending on what the water clarity is and the time of the year. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. Hopefully you can learn something from this video today. If you're not already throwing an LV 500, definitely check it out. It's a staple lure. It's always caught them, and it always will catch them. You know, if you're having some tough days in the wintertime, slow that thing down and drag it around like a jig, and hopefully it can work for you guys like it works for us. We're gonna link all these products down below. I had a great time with you today, Jeff. We'll catch you guys on the next one.